Hello, everyone. Welcome to Spirituality on Be Judge Delight TV. God bless you. Briefly, I'd like to discuss what I call the love that sustains marriage. The love that sustains marriage. Before you go into marriage, or probably early into your marriage, there's this butterfly feeling in your belly, this emotional attraction to your partner, this feeling of I miss you, I love you, I can't do without you, and all of that. It's very good. It's very okay. But the truth is this: those things are mere, they're just feelings, and the truth is feelings are fleeting, emotions are ephemeral, emotions are deceptive. So that which you are feeling in those phases or in those seasons is called the emotional love, which is not bad. It is needed for a good connection with your partner. It is needed. But the truth is that emotional love is not enough to sustain your marriage, because emotional love is based on emotion. And emotion is not stable. Emotion is not logical. Emotion is not born out of in-depth thinking. You need what I call intentional love. So going into marriage, your love needs to graduate. Your love needs to graduate from that emotional love into intentional love. That is, now you're not loving because the person is doing things rightly. You're not loving because the person is looking so attractive, but you are loving because you are loving the person intentionally. And it is out of intentional love that you can also love someone unconditionally. Because intentional love is a love born out of choice. You have chosen to love the person in and out of season. You have chosen to love your partner regardless of what is happening, even in the midst of quarrels, in the midst of misunderstandings, in the midst of differences. You have chosen to still love the person. In that situation when it feels like everything is falling apart, you are still telling yourself, this is the person I've chosen. So you have to graduate from that emotional love into intentional love. Because if it is emotion, anybody can be emotional about anybody. And most times when you see all these extramarital affairs, they are born out of emotional love. All right? Because, if you were to be intentional, or if you are to be intentional in your marriage, there are things that you would never allow yourself to do. Not because you did not have the feeling to do it, not because the mind to do it was not coming at the time, but because you have control over your emotion and you decide to be intentional about how you feel or what you choose to do. So eventually, what you are doing most times is not even what you feel to do, is what you choose to do. Emotional love is good, but it does not have the capacity to withstand challenges. It does not have the capacity to withstand hard times. I must be sincere with you. Because emotion is not stable, emotion is not firm, emotion is not consistent. And when challenges come, emotion will always look for escape routes. Emotion will always look for where it's best for it to stay. And that is why you see that in the times of challenges, you see people having extramarital affairs when their partner is doing this or that. The next thing is they are looking for an escape route. They are looking for a safe haven, which in truth and in sincerity is not actually a safe haven. But if it's intentional love, you will choose to stay. You will choose to work it out. It takes intentional love to want to solve the problem. It takes intentional love to want to endure till you eventually enjoy. Because there would come a time when you would have to endure some things. There would come a time where you have to tolerate some things. So eventually, when you have intentionally been consistent with whatever you are doing in that marriage, you now get to a stage of acceptance. And the funny thing is that, yes, you migrated from emotional love to intentional love. All right, that's a very good transition, which is compulsory in the marriage for a successful marriage. But then the good thing is that when you have consistently exercised that intentional love, the next thing you start seeing is that emotional love will now come back, but it will come back stronger. Time of challenges in your marriage are not the times where you now become so emotional, because when you are too emotional, you become irrational. All right. So that is why I said the major love the major form of love that actually sustains a marriage is intentional love. Remember, I always say that marriage does not work on its own. Wherever you stop working your marriage is where it stops working. Even when you are angry with your spouse, you are still telling her or you are telling him, I love you. Yes, at the time you are telling the person, you might not really mean it, but you are working towards achieving it. You are working towards meaning it because you are set, you are determined for the marriage to work. You are not willing to leave a crack open for the devil to creep in. There will be mistakes, there will be misunderstandings, there will be reasons to want to leave the marriage. I must be sincere with you. There will be times you just feel like you are tired of this marriage, how you wish, how you this, how is that. But when you are intentional about your love for your spouse, when you are intentional about wanting to have a happy home, when you are intentional about wanting to have a successful marriage, you will scale through that phase successfully. It might not be easy. I'm not saying it's going to be easy, but what I can assure you is that it will be worth your patience. Remember, they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. So while you are navigating those challenging moments in your marriage with intentional love, you are renewing your love, the same intentional love one, then you are now strengthening. You are adding to the strength of your emotional love. So it will not be like the glory of the latter day. What I mean is that the emotional love you started with in the beginning of your marriage will now not even be able to match up with the emotional love you are ending with after you have scaled through the challenges with the tool of intentional love. Everybody will now look at your marriage, they will now start envying your marriage. You know what you have been through, your partner knows what he or she has been through, but because you have chosen to be intentional in the face of challenges, you have chosen to love your spouse through their shortfalls, through their shortcomings, then you will now be enjoying the renewed emotional love in the later phase of your marriage. Then people will now look at you, they will be praying, oh, I wish my marriage is like this, because people generally, they want to envy the product while they want to reject the process. You have gone through the process, you are now enjoying the product, and then people are envying the product. So please, in the midst of your challenges in your marriage, choose today to move from that your emotional love to intentional love. That you're having challenges in your marriage is not the time for you to now look for a shoulder to cry on. It's not the time for you to now look for a third party to start narrating your ordeals to. It's not a time for you to now start looking for someone to pamper you. It's not a time for you to now look for someone to give you something different from what your partner is giving to you. See, let me tell you, there will always be somebody that seems better than your spouse. Because if it's beauty that you want in a partner, the day you choose to marry that your partner, probably the next day or next week, you see someone that is more beautiful, more handsome, taller, darker, than your partner. All right? If it's being kind, being gentle, see, it's easy to fall in love with a stranger. And in a situation where you are emotionally down, you also become logically blind. So in that case, you become vulnerable. See, let me tell you, most of these people you see out there, they're having extramarital affairs with, they are predators and they know they are prey. They know when to strike. You are the foolish one here, because let me tell you, you cannot intentionally love your spouse and want to cheat on them. Because you know that when they get to know, you will hurt them. And even yourself, eventually you will not be able to forgive yourself. Because cheating on your partner is first a disrespect to your partner, and then a ridicule to you. The Bible says every other sin is outside of the body, but the sin of fornication or adultery is to your own body. First place a value on yourself. Place a worth on yourself. Imagine how irritating it will be for another man to be on you. Imagine how irritating it will be for you to be looking at another woman's nakedness when you have your own wife at home. So that you're having challenges in your marriage is not an excuse to go into extramarital affairs. I pray that the Lord will lead you through. I pray that the Lord will help every home that is on the brink or on the verge of breaking. I want to advise every one of us today. It is time we come to the realization that emotional love alone is not enough in this marriage thing. Emotional love alone will not take you through the challenges, through the trials, through the tests of this marriage. What we actually need to have a successful marriage is intentional love. You will not lose your marriage, you will not lose your joy. That your marriage will work, my marriage will work, and every one of us would have a successful marriage. We would laugh once again, and people would envy our successful marriage. God bless you.